Israel Adesanya versus Dricus Du Plessis. When examining the matchup between Adesanya and Dricus Du Plessis, we have two fighters with very different styles, strengths, and weaknesses. Let's talk about Dricus Du Plessis real quick. Dricus Du Plessis is one of the most unique and unorthodox fighters in the middleweight division, to put it lightly. While he may not possess the technical finesse of an Israel Adesanya, he makes up for it with raw power, relentless pressure, and an unpredictable style that can be a nightmare for opponents. Du Plessis' striking style is unconventional to say the least. His punches come from odd angles, and while this may seem sloppy or unrefined, it has proven to be effective in catching his opponents off guard. His ability to land punches from unexpected angles often disrupts the rhythm of his opponents, making it difficult for them to find counters. His power is undeniable, and his knockout ratio speaks to the threat he poses on the feet. However, his unorthodoxy leaves him vulnerable at times. His chin is often exposed during exchanges, particularly when he overcommits with his punches. Dricus Du Plessis is not just a brawler, and he's not really a brawler to begin with. He's an explosive athlete with a solid grappling base. His jiu-jitsu is underrated, and his top pressure on the ground is suffocating. Once he secures a takedown, he is relentless in his pursuit of ground and pound or looking for submission opportunities. His ability to mix up his striking with his takedowns will be crucial against Adesanya, as getting the fight to the ground could give him a significant advantage. One of Dricus Du Plessis' most impressive attributes is his chin. He has shown an ability to absorb punishment and keep pressing forward, which can be disheartening for his opponents who struggle to put him away. His durability combined with his pressure makes him a difficult puzzle to solve over the course of a fight. While his unorthodox striking can be effective, it also leaves him vulnerable. Du Plessis often leaves his chin exposed, and his footwork can be sloppy, leading him to be out of position after throwing strikes. Against a counter-striker as sharp as Adesanya, this could be a recipe for disaster. Du Plessis' tendency to overcommit and leave his chin in the air makes him susceptible to counters, especially against someone with the precision and timing of Adesanya. I'm also going to briefly touch on this aspect of Dricus Du Plessis' game, and that is his cardio. He did have a strong showing against Sean Strickland, but I'm going to break this down for you. Du Plessis has shown signs of a questionable gas tank, particularly when he is forced to fight at a high pace for extended periods. While he was able to go 5 rounds against Sean Strickland, it's worth noting that Strickland's style of fighting, where he doesn't offer much in terms of power or volume when backed up, it allowed Dricus Du Plessis to conserve energy. Strickland is a defensive point fighter who moves forward, but he does not possess the same counterpunching threat that Adesanya does. This does not allow Dricus to dictate the pace in the same way against Adesanya, because Adesanya is more of a counter striker than Sean Strickland is. Sean Strickland is not a counter puncher. Remember that. So I know what you guys are thinking. I know that you guys are thinking like, okay, but he still did display good cardio. He fought hard for 5 rounds. Sean Strickland, when getting backed up and constantly getting thrown on, does not offer the same amount of threat that maybe an Israel Adesanya does, because he simply just does not throw back as much, versus when he's moving forward and he's constantly throwing strikes. You get where I'm going? Okay, now let's talk about Israel Adesanya for a second. Adesanya is a master of striking, with the emphasis on counterpunching. He excels at drawing his opponents into range and then making them pay for their aggression. His timing and precision are second to none, and he has made a career out of exploiting the defensive flaws of his opponents. Du Plessis' tendency to leave his chin exposed and overcommit to his strikes will likely be a glaring target for Adesanya's counters. Adesanya's movement is one of the most significant advantages. His ability to move in and out of range, pivot, and create angles is crucial to his striking game. Against someone like Du Plessis, who relies on pressure and unorthodox angles, Adesanya's movement will be key in avoiding the heavy shots while setting up his counters. If Du Plessis gets Adesanya backed up against the cage, he will need to be wary of the body shots and mix-ups that Du Plessis can employ. However, Adesanya's head movement and footwork should allow him to escape these situations more than not. For Adesanya, without a doubt in my mind, his key to victory lies in making this a striking match where he could dictate the range and tempo. He needs to avoid getting into wild exchanges where Duplessis' power and unpredictability could become a factor. Adesanya should focus on picking Duplessis apart from the outside, using his jab, his low kicks, and movement to frustrate and wear down the South African. If Duplessis tries to close the distance and mix in his wrestling, Adesanya should be prepared to sprawl and scramble and reset back to the center of the octagon. That is very important, guys. In conclusion, while Dricus Duplessis presents a unique and dangerous challenge, Israel Adesanya's technical prowess, experience, and ability to adapt to his opponent's style give him the edge in this matchup. Duplessis' unorthodox striking will likely land him a few big shots, but his striking defensive flaws will be his undoing. Adesanya's precision, movement, and counterpunching will expose the openings that Duplessis leaves after his wild exchanges. Moreover, while Duplessis' wrestling could pose a threat, Adesanya's improved takedown defense and ability to scramble back to his feet should nullify much of that danger. Adesanya's experience in high-level fights coupled with his mental toughness further solidifies why he should emerge victorious, in my opinion. Duplessis has been riding a wave of momentum, but his style has been somewhat overrated based on his recent performances. Robert Whittaker, for example, did not look like his usual self in his bout with Duplessis, which made the latter's performance look more dominant than it perhaps was. And while Duplessis went the distance with Sean Strickland's style allowed Duplessis to conserve energy and not face the same level of threat he will encounter with Israel Adesanya. In the end, Israel Adesanya's ability to control the fight and exploit Duplessis' weaknesses will lead him to victory. Most likely via decision or a late round stoppage. Styles make fights, and in this case,
this was all just my opinion. However, I would like to know what you guys think. I know a lot of you guys are going to, root for Dricus Duplessis to maybe knock out Israel Adesanya. I don't base my predictions based off of how I feel about a certain fighter. I used to in the past, and it never got me the results I wanted. But, however, that being said, I am going based off of the skills, and in my opinion, Israel Adesanya is just the much more skilled fighter. Now, that being said, there is also some discourse on whether or not Israel Adesanya is still the same guy mentally. Coming off of the loss against Alex Pereira, winning against Alex Pereira the second time, but then losing to Sean Strickland in that fashion. Look, you guys, things like that happen in the sport. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, how can you pick Adesanya when Dricus did what he did to Strickland? And MMA Math 1 doesn't work. And then Adesanya was a minus 600 favorite for a reason, you guys, in that Strickland fight. Things happen like that in the sport. Upsets happen. That's what keeps the sport exciting. But however, if I'm going based off of skills, Adesanya is the more skilled fighter. But I want to know what you guys think. It's been your boy Trippy, and I'm out, man.